Alright guys, this is going to be our last lettering worksheet, and after that we will have lettering assignments. So we're going to be doing numbers. Now there's going to be some numbers that are skipped. For example, 0.125, you can see. I want you to just make the 1 as if it is an I, starting from on the far left side, taking up all 6 squares. Now, for numbers, all your numbers are only going to take 5 boxes, and that applies for every number without exception, including ampersand. So let's go ahead and start with number 4. The first stroke you're going to draw is going to be the one that is straight down. So that's going to be your first stroke. And I want you to draw that on the 4th line, straight down, like so. Now, the next stroke you're going to draw, now I always draw my 4s in 2 strokes, but this could be your second stroke, going all the way out to here. And then right above the 5th line, but for me, I pretty much follow the 5th line all the way through, all the way across, like so. And that's my number 4, right? And ending right at 5th line. Now for the number 7, this is in block lettering. Pretty much this portion is straight until it has a small curve at the end. So when you are writing this on a small block, you're going to draw a straight line all the way across to the 5th line. Should have been to the 5th line. And then you're going to bring down to the second line here. So it's going to be a slight curve there. And I always draw from the top down, but I'm doing this right now just for demonstration purposes. So the 7 should end there. Now, I would perform this in 3 strokes in the beginning, going this way. First stroke, second stroke being the second stroke being here, and the third stroke being the curve. Now, your number 2 can be done in 2 strokes. Now, the smaller the numbers get, it's easier to draw these. Now, you're gonna draw it almost like a reverse S in the beginning. Go from here, go all the way across, and that's where I stop. That's usually my first stroke. So from here to here is my first stroke. And then from right around here to right where it gets to the end, that's where I use my second stroke as. And then lastly, doing my third stroke on the bottom. So that'll look like this, where you bring it straight down, curve it, and bring it to there, and then go across. Again, these will look significantly better as you draw them on a smaller grid. 8, 2 circles, usually starts from the middle. The middle, right, again, since we're looking at 5 blocks, the middle is 2.5. So about right where the middle should be, slightly to the left, and I like to draw it as 2 ellipses. So my first stroke usually is from here, going up, and bringing it around. Now on something this big, I might do it as 2 strokes, where I stop here, and then bring it back down, like so. And then the bigger one, I'm bringing it around a little bit fatter than it's supposed to be, making sure that I make contact with the far out, right? And you're not going to get a perfect ellipse, right, on something this small. 2 types of number 3, one with a straight edge. This is the one that I usually prefer. Now they do have technical differences, but majority of the time you can get by with drawing. So that's being my first stroke, and then that being my second stroke. Obviously, it gets better with practice and when the numbers themselves shrink. The 3 with the flat side, believe it or not, I found it easier as you get faster and faster in writing or lettering, that you will opt out for writing your 3s like this, than writing your 3s like that. So in 3s like this, you're gonna have a flat side, a curve, and then followed by the same second stroke. So again, first stroke being flat, second stroke being a curve, and the third one is like that entire swoop around this way. Right? Again, you get used to drawing 3s like this. So let's try with the flat. Remember, the top is always a little bit smaller. Same with the 8, same with the 3. Slightly smaller than the one on the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw a straight line all the way across till I get to about right there, not touching the 5th line. Then I'm gonna draw a slight curve, going to the middle. Should have been a little bit lower. But then bring it all the way around. And then I want you to imagine, especially for these bottom curves, the way we did our U's and J's. So you could start from like right here, but ultimately you're gonna swoop it all the way around and bring it there. So now for number 5, always start with the straight line. That's your first stroke. Your second stroke will be the downward stroke. And then lastly, you're curving it around. Just like you would do with number 3, the bottom resembles that of J or U, and that's your third stroke. So again, straight line. Again, the line up top is smaller than the bottom. Think heavy bottom. And I'm gonna go ahead and start from here, go across, come down, stop there, go around. It's my 5. 0, get into a habit from drawing here and around. So that's the point I start from. You could start from the middle, but I particularly start from this point because it's easier. I imagine a C, G, or an O, where I'm actually just trying to catch all of it. Again, with the letter differences is you start slightly further out. O is a little bit skinnier, so it makes an ellipse. It's not a perfect circle. And what you're doing is you're just pulling it down and you're trying to bring it around. Just try to, when you're working on a smaller grid, just try to pull closer to the left side. So if you have grids that are following, you're always pulling to the left. So with your O, you have one stroke going this way. And you could stop there and then bring the other one home by going around this way. Now again, if it gets smaller, you're gonna pull it all the way across as one stroke. Now 6, again, ideally it's gonna become first stroke, one stroke for 6 and 9. But for letters being this large, or sorry, numbers being this large, you're gonna do the first stroke going around this way, again starting from here, just like we were practicing from O. Bring it around, stop here, and then you can bring the other one around this way. But I would stop here and continue around this way. The idea being you want it to be one continuous stroke eventually. So let's attempt that. Let's try to do it all in one. Starting from here, swooping around, going all the way down, coming around this way. I should stop, and then you can bring it around this way, or you can bring it around and make contact. So that's your 6. Number 9, again, try to start from this point, about a third of the way up, like position where the edge of the 9 is going to be. That's how I imagine it. This is where my swoop is going to come down and around. So my starting point for 9 is here. I bring my first stroke around this way. Just like I start my 6 from here, I start my 9 from here, and I end here. Now, when the numbers become smaller, it becomes easier. So first stroke, if you want to stop, you can stop here, or you can bring it around here and stop right here at the intersection. Try to create that perfect circle or an ellipse. So your first stroke goes around this way, and wherever you stop, the second stroke brings the 9 around that way, and that's your second stroke. So if I'm starting from here, that's where I'm going to intersect when my 9 comes through. So I'm going to bring my 9 around this way, bring it around. Trying to do it at a bigger scale is significantly tougher. But that's the point, that if you can pull off this at a bigger scale, you should be able to do it at a smaller scale much, much better, significantly better. Okay? Again. Now, Amsterdam, or the and sign, right? I start from here, and the easiest curve of it is, we're gonna have to break this down into 3 curves. The first one is a straight stroke across and up and over. So you're coming at, that's being your first stroke. Going up like that, that is your first stroke. So I will come across straight, making contact roughly there, and over, like so. So that should be your first stroke. So the first stroke should be just going around and over and stopping. Now from here, I try to imagine a smaller S, and there's no way around it. This is gonna requires a little bit of practice to perfect, but I start from here, almost as if I'm about a third of the way into the block, and then I imagine trying to make contact somewhere about a third of the way bottom from the bottom. So I'm gonna try to bring this around, and in my second stroke, I stop somewhere around here. So I usually stop somewhere around here just to bring it up, but as it gets smaller and smaller, you're gonna try to knock this out in one stroke. And I just pull up from here. I just simply pull up. And that's my and sign. So again, that is my second stroke. Going down and over is my second stroke. So I will draw straight across over, and my second stroke is this curve all the way around. So that's how you do majority of your number. So got